guys, welcome to another podcast with Outcast Chronicles. I'm David Leiter.
My name is Brian Parsons, and if you are enjoying what you're hearing, please comment, subscribe, and like us. And we hope to get into some really good stuff. One of the things that we want to talk about here today is the fact that why are we called outcast? We feel like we're called outcast because the world that we live in today is so deeply polarized. It seems like everybody's either on the right or on the left in some form or fashion. It doesn't matter what you're talking about, whether it's politics or religion. But we believe that there's a space in the middle. There's a space of balance. Ed Cole said that balance is the key to life. And we really believe that there's this space in the middle that we want to create, which is a sacred space, a space where we can have these conversations, because the truth is somewhere locked in the middle. I don't think it's on the edges. And so we want to provide a space where we can have those kind of conversations.
It's judgment free. So we're not judging anyone. It's just, however, we need to deal with some things that I believe have gotten out of control. And our stand here at our podcast is that there is that space in the middle. Like Brian was saying, there's some gray areas, man, in life that people don't want to touch. So they'll get a hot topic left or right, but that's not how everyone is thinking.
It's about having those tough conversations, right? It's about being able to have that space for those conversations to be had. This world likes bricks. This world likes everyone to be this perfect little formed brick, to where nobody has rough edges. But the truth is we all have rough edges. We all have oddities, and that's what makes us special. And so the fact that we have different opinions, the fact that we might say some things that offend some people, I can guarantee you, we're going to say some things that offend some people. It's impossible not to. And so we're not going to shy away from that. And if you're offended, that's okay, because sometimes I'm offended at what I say.
Right.
So just hang tight with us. We're going to get into some really good stuff today. Today, we're actually going to be talking a little bit from the book that I wrote called What You Need to Know About Men. And we're going to talk a little bit in the beginning about the difference between men and boys. And so you're going to want to kind of hang into this, especially if you are a young lady who's dating. You don't even have to be a young lady. You might be a little bit more seasoned. Maybe this is your second time around. Maybe you're raising girls. They're going to want to know the difference, because there is a difference between men and boys, and we're going to get into that.
And if you're a single mother, you would really want to tune in, because you'll get our opinion. You'll get some thoughts that may help you lead your boys into becoming men, and what's acceptable and what's not, and what's taboo and what's not.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the world we live in today is extremely complex. It's extremely complicated. And so navigating that is really hard. It's really hard. And I think one of the things that is kind of unsaid in what we're saying, that I guess we'll just bring it out, and that is that there's a difference between men and women, and in the way we operate and the way we think. And
brains are different.
I'll say that again.
Our brains are different.
Oh yeah. Our wiring is different. Our chemical makeup is different. There's a lot different. And so we have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge that there's a difference. We're going to talk a little bit about how men think. We're going to talk a little bit about how men mature as we get into this. One of the things that I do in the very first, like the introduction of the book, is I talk about an experience that I had. It's one of the earliest memories that I have from when I was in first grade. And back when I was in first grade, and I know it was a little bit ago, when we were in first grade, but we had this thing called recess. Nobody does that anymore. It's where you could actually get out and actually enjoy the day and be outside and play and spend some of this energy. And you want to talk about the difference between, men and women. Boys need to expend energy because we have these large muscles that actually store up lactic acid if we don't get movement, right? And so, recess was important towards the education of boys, but I won't get into that. But anyway, so first grade, I remember walking out onto the playground, and I don't know whether I got out late or what the situation was, but I was walking by myself, and I was walking on the asphalt. And there was this large asphalt space that you walked on before you got out to the playground part where, like we had like merry-go-rounds and monkey bars and all that stuff, you can't have anymore because it's just way too dangerous. But but we were walking in, I was walking in, I should say, and I was looking for my friends. And as I was walking out there, I heard this commotion off to my right. And I looked over there, and there's a large dumpster, where you put trash. It was a blue dumpster. And just behind it, just on the other side of it, there was this group of boys, about 3, and this little girl. And she was a little red-haired girl. And they were like circling around her. And they were yelling and saying things, but I couldn't really hear what they were saying. But then I saw them go up and like pull her hair, and you could tell she was not enjoying it. It was not one of those things. And I don't know, I don't remember what I thought. All I know is before I knew it, I inserted myself into the whole situation. And I ran over there. And the next thing I know, I'm between these 3 boys and this girl. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? I don't know whether I thought I was some kind of hero or what it was, but my little young mind, I was like, this isn't right. I'm going to deal with it. And I jumped in there, and there was one boy, his name was Nicky, and he was a little different. Okay. And so I'm just going to describe what he was wearing. He was wearing those shorts. Remember those shorts that had like the scalloped edges on them that turned in, where the shorts back then were not long.
They were shorts too.
Yeah, right. There was a reason they were called shorts, right? Yes. And so he had on one of those shorts that had the one stripe on the side, and then he had on this dingy T-shirt,
high socks.
And what's that?
The high socks.
Yeah, he had on tube socks, right? With the
lines.
Yeah, which were all the way up, right?
Yes.
But here's the thing: he was wearing cowboy boots with it. Yeah, I know. Picture that. Okay. So he's sitting there and he's got mid-range dark hair. And he's like, what's your problem? You need to get out of here. This is none of your business. And I was like, you need to leave people alone. And before I knew it, he came running at me, and I like got ready, like I was going to fight. And instead of swinging, he kicked me dead in my shins, and it hurt. It was those cowboy boots, and they had like a little metal thing on the end of them. And he kicked me right there. And I was like, and I stepped back, and then he came in again, like he was going to kick me again. And I dodged him. Right. And so then we started doing this little dance where he's trying to kick me and I'm dodging him, right. Trying to keep from getting kicked again, because that hurt.
I bet.
And then he came running in at me. And before I knew it, I grabbed his arm and turned and pulled. And he went flying over my back and landed on his tailbone right on the asphalt. And it was right at the edge of the asphalt, where it was kind of broken up. You know how they used to get all broken up right at the edges? It was all broken up, and he hit it. And the first thing he did, man, is he started screaming. And we had these things when you did recesses, you had these recess monitors, playground monitors, right? Yes, and here comes this playground monitor over, and I'm looking up like, uh-oh, right? And the next thing I know, he's pointing at me, and he's blaming me, and and the playground monitor grabs me and walks me into the building. And I had to meet with the principal, and the next thing I knew, I was in like playground jail.
Detention.
Yeah, that's right. Detention. That was exactly it. I was in detention for a week where I couldn't go out on playground. I had to sit in the classroom for a week, and that was like torture for absolutely. First grader.
Or an 8-9-year-old.
Yeah. Well, and then the thing was, so then that's how I ended up meeting this little redhead-haired girl, and she actually became my girlfriend. And so, I had this girlfriend in first grade, whatever that means, right?
Right.
That's my girlfriend. I went over her house and played. But here's the thing. The thing is this group of boys liked her, and I liked her. I didn't know it at the time. It didn't go through my mind like, oh, I like her, I better protect her. But we expressed that like very differently, right? I mean, they expressed the like subconsciously in the form of attack, and I expressed the like in the form of defense. I wanted to come in as a savior. We can get deep into all that stuff and how that happens when you get older. I'm not looking to go there, but just from the standpoint of boys think differently. They act differently. They're very impulsive. They do things differently. And so I want us to dive into, because it makes me think about, the difference of way boys think, and even when we got older, right? I mean, I can remember getting older, and I can remember when you got into the dating scene, and how people actually operated very similarly to what Nikki and I operated,
Mhm.
right? I mean, I remember boys in the clubs who would be just absolute jerks,
Oh yeah. Oh,
right? But they got the attention of the girls.
yeah. And
You
then it
know,
switches to instead of short shorts and cowboy boots, it's now, your swag is, you got the necklaces on, a nice shirt, pressed pants, you got the right shoes on or tennis shoes. You had a hookup on when it comes time for the club. And it's
right.
like the most amazing thing to me about this topic, and I've had some discussions that we'll get into later, when I've been doing some speaking engagements. And I've had to take, when I was speaking to these young men, I had to take them to nature and
Hmm.
how much of nature, when you see male and female in nature, or you see a cub versus his lion father, the roles are different. And we don't cross that over
Hmm.
in the animal kingdom. But because we're human and we have the option of choice and things like that, it's amazing how we misconstrue masculinity and manhood, where it's not that way in nature. You have the lionesses have their place, the male lions have their place, the cubs have their place. You can't get out of that no matter how you look at it. And so it amazes me how when we lose the definition of masculinity and how it's changed just over the last 50 years. What back in the 60s, what was a man versus in 2020? We are definitely in a hypersensitive generation right now where it's hard to talk about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole term toxic masculinity. It's
Yes.
like any expression of masculinity is somehow toxic. You know, I mean,
Yes.
I can tell you right now, I've actually worked with women who, if you open the door for them, they got mad at you. Like, I can do it myself. I know you can do it yourself. I am not trying to speak to you about your value or your capability. I'm doing you a favor. I'm trying to be nice,
Right.
but it's considered toxic masculinity, and so you get into some weird stuff, man. That is definitely different headspace than I think my generation ever really dealt with. I
Right.
think the generation coming up has got some real challenges. Real.
Oh, 100%, man. But I feel like we've lost our boundaries on what's acceptable and what's not. Chivalry is a dying breed. And
Oh yeah.
unfortunately,
Oh
just
yeah.
like you said, even some forms or signs or behaviors of chivalry can be looked down upon, which is absolutely insane. I've been a hair designer barber for 30 years. And so the countless tens of thousands of women that I've spoke to, women, when you sit down with your hair designer, you can have a lot of good conversations. I even do with my guys, man, when I'm cutting hair. You can get into some very in-depth conversations.
Oh
So
yeah.
I get
You are definitely like a counselor, man.
absolutely
Yeah.
100%. And
Yeah.
and I get to hear things that won't be spoken of.
Cheap counseling.
Yes, very,
Inexpensive.
very.
Yeah.
And I always said I deserve an honorary degree in psychology of
Right.
30 years of doing hair, man. What's funny is even in this generation of this hypersensitivity about everything, what I have found, most women still feel the same in what they expect out of a man. not much has really changed. I mean, 30 years is a long time to do one profession. So I've had everyone, I've had the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter in my chair. I've had 3 generations in my chair. And so what I've gleaned from that is priceless. As far as when I was helping me raise my daughters was a pretty big deal. So there's definitely a huge bias that isn't spoken about, because some women don't even want to bring up what they expect from a man, and they'll settle for less. And it's unfortunate that you get to a place where you can actually complain about what you've allowed.
Well, it's interesting. I think, I mean, that's something that I've experienced in talking to many women is this, it's almost like there's a surrendering of
Yes.
morals towards men, or expectancy.
Expectations.
Right? Yeah, expectation, right? So it's like, well, I'm just going to get what I get, and I'll be happy with it, um and what I'm seeing is women are getting tired, just getting worn out, because they're burning it at every end, trying to be everything.
Because of men lacking maturity and men lacking what men should do. What's really weird for me is to see the process of how women changed to where men were the cheaters and the men were the one night stands. That ain't the case no more.
Oh, right.
Because women will do it in a heartbeat, because we like, I'm gonna get what I want. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make him bust me off a piece. He could be a good guy looking for a relationship. She's just looking for an outlet.
Right.
But because I'm not gonna invest in no guy, because they suck. My dad left me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I was raised fatherless. I was raised by my mom. I saw the pain she went through, the boyfriends in and out of the house. I mean, we've got a pretty messed up generation. And like you said, the one to come, who defines masculinity for a boy?
Well, think about it. So, my daughter is 18, just started college, and I am shocked at the way that guys approach women now. From the standpoint of it's all via digital. It's all digital. It's I reach out to you via Facebook or Instagram, or you name it, and everything happens that way. Even like we're dating, we've been dating for a while, and we're going to break up. They break up via, I mean, that's, oh my gosh. Yeah. Via, not even a text, man, just an Instagram or a post. I just like took you off my relationship status, and that's how I let you know. It's like,
yes.
Talk about lack of courage, man. I mean, come on.
Yep.
But that's the difference. It's the difference between men and boys, right? And so today you're listening to us on the Outcast Chronicles. I'm Brian, this is Dave, and we are talking about the difference between men and boys.